What if I told you that everything you've been taught about love, attraction, and relationships has been wrong? That bending over backward, always being available, and showering someone with attention are actually the quickest ways to make them lose interest in you. Does that sting? It should, because it's the truth, and the truth has a way of shaking us awake. Right now, you might be consumed by thoughts of someone who has taken over your mind, your heart, and even your dreams for the future. You've rearranged your life around theirs, trying to be the person you think they want. But here's the harsh reality. The more you chase, the further they'll run. Why? Because desperation is repelling. It screams insecurity and devalues you in ways you might not even realize. But there's another way, a path that flips the script entirely. It's not about manipulation or tricks. It's about mastering yourself, your life, and your energy in ways that draw people to you naturally. This isn't a cheap magic trick. This is Stoicism applied to modern attraction. And if you're ready to take control, not just of this relationship, but of your entire approach to life, then you're in the right place. In this guide, we'll dive into 8 transformative principles designed to make them completely obsessed with you, not through games, but by becoming someone irresistible, someone they can't stop thinking about. This isn't about chasing approval, it's about building a life so magnetic that others chase you. By the time you finish reading, you'll understand the exact steps to reclaim your power and create an energy so captivating that it draws others in without effort. So let's start with the first principle. The power of scarcity, a concept that will completely change the way you view relationships. 1. The power of scarcity. Imagine this. You've just discovered a limited edition item that's available for a short time only. Everyone wants it, and you're desperate to get your hands on it before it's gone. Now think about this in the context of relationships. Why are we drawn to things that are rare? Why do we chase after what feels just out of reach? The answer lies in the psychology of scarcity. When something is limited, we value it more. And when it comes to your presence, this principle is no different. Now ask yourself, how accessible are you? Are you always the first to respond, always available, always saying yes? If so, you're unintentionally telling the other person that your time and attention are not valuable. And when someone thinks they can have you whenever they want, they stop chasing. They stop appreciating. And eventually they stop being interested. Let's get brutally honest. Have you ever felt drained from constantly being available? You say yes when you want to say no. You respond immediately, rearranging your plans to accommodate theirs. It feels good at first, but over time you start to feel used, overlooked, and undervalued. Why? Because you've made yourself too accessible. Scarcity changes that. By limiting your availability, you shift the dynamics. You create curiosity, intrigue, and value around your presence. This isn't about ghosting or playing hard to get. It's about living a life that's full, independent, and centered on your passions. When your time and attention become rare, they'll begin to crave it. And when they crave it, they'll start working to earn it. Picture this. Instead of texting back immediately, you pause. Not to play games, but because you're busy living your life. Maybe you're at the gym, learning a new skill, or simply enjoying your solitude. When you finally respond, it feels intentional, like your time is a gift, not something they're entitled to. Suddenly, they're wondering what's keeping them so busy. Why aren't they always available for me? That's when the magic happens. Scarcity doesn't just make them appreciate your presence, it forces them to evaluate their own behavior. Are they putting in enough effort to deserve your time? Are they matching your energy? If the answer is no, they'll start working harder. And if they're not willing to, then maybe they're not worth your energy after all. As Marcus Aurelius taught, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. By valuing your own time and controlling how much you give, you reclaim your power. Here's the beauty of scarcity. It's not just about relationships. It's a mindset shift that impacts every area of your life. Think about your goals, your passions, your dreams. When you focus on living fully, your energy naturally shifts. You're no longer someone chasing validation. You're someone who inspires others to chase you. So how do you start? Begin by setting boundaries. Say no when something doesn't align with your priorities. I don't rearrange your schedule for someone who wouldn't do the same for you. And most importantly, invest in yourself, your growth, your happiness, your future. Scarcity is about more than making someone obsessed with you. It's about creating a life that feels whole and fulfilling, with or without them. Close your eyes and affirm this. My time is valuable. My presence is a gift. I don't chase, I attract. Believe it. Live it. And watch as the dynamic shifts in your favor. Are you ready to discover the next principle that will amplify your magnetic energy? Stay with me, because things are about to get even more powerful. Let's dive into turning the spotlight back onto yourself. A concept that will not only transform how others see you, but how you see yourself. 2. Turn the spotlight on yourself. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something solely for yourself, not to impress someone, not to win anyone's approval, but just because it lit you up inside? If you're like most people, it's probably been a while. In the chase for love, attention, and connection, we often forget the most important relationship we'll ever have, the one with ourselves, and that's where the real magic begins. Here's a truth that might sting at first. Nobody becomes obsessed with someone whose world revolves entirely around them. Think about it. Are you drawn to the person who gives and gives, sacrificing their own dreams and passions to make others happy? Or are you captivated by the one who's fully alive, chasing their goals and radiating a confidence that says, I'm whole, with or without you? It's always the latter, because the energy of someone living for themselves is magnetic. Turning the spotlight on yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. When you focus on your growth, your happiness, and your purpose, you create a life that people naturally want to be part of. It's not about being the loudest or most attention-seeking person in the room. It's about living with intention, passion, and confidence. People will gravitate toward you because you're not just existing, you're thriving. But let's get practical. How do you turn the spotlight on yourself without feeling like you're abandoning the connection you're trying to build? It starts with small, deliberate choices. What are the things that make you come alive? Is it a hobby you've neglected, a goal you've put on hold, or simply carving out time for self-care? Make a list of the things that energize you and commit to doing at least one of them every week. The more you invest in yourself, the more vibrant your energy becomes and the more others will be drawn to it. Imagine this. Instead of texting them back immediately, you're out running, painting, learning a new skill, or building your dream career. You're not ignoring them. You're showing them that your life doesn't revolve around their attention. And when they finally hear from you, your energy is electric. They'll want to know what's lighting you up, what's keeping you busy, and how they can be part of it. That curiosity? It's the beginning of obsession. Here's another secret. Turning the spotlight on yourself also means setting boundaries. When you value your time and energy, others will too. Maybe you've always been the one to bend, to compromise, to rearrange your schedule for someone else. But when you start saying no to what doesn't serve you and yes to your own priorities, you send a powerful message. I'm worth it. And trust me, the right people will respect and admire you for it. As the Stoics teach, true power comes from within. Marcus Aurelius said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." When you prioritize yourself, your passions, your growth, your joy, you align with the natural order of life. You stop chasing validation because you already have it within. And that's what makes you magnetic. Now let's flip the script. Instead of wondering how you can impress them, ask yourself, how can I impress myself? What's one thing you can do today that brings you closer to the person you want to become? Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been eyeing, starting a fitness routine, or simply spending an hour journaling your thoughts. Whatever it is, do it for you, not for anyone else. This isn't about neglecting others, it's about inspiring them. When they see you living your best life, they'll want to be part of it, not because you're chasing them, but because your energy is irresistible. And here's the best part. By turning the spotlight on yourself, you're not just transforming your relationships, you're transforming your entire life. You're becoming the person you were always meant to be. So, are you ready to make this shift? Are you ready to prioritize yourself and create a life so full and exciting that others can't help but want to join you? If so, let me know in the comments by writing number 1 below. Show the world that you're serious about living for yourself and inspiring others to follow your lead. And don't forget to like this video if you're feeling empowered by this message. Hit that subscribe button too, because we've only just begun this journey. The next principles we'll explore will build on this momentum, giving you even more tools to reclaim your power and transform your relationships. This is your time to shine. This is your time to turn the spotlight back where it belongs on you. Are you ready? Let's keep going. 3. Mixed signals for emotional intrigue. Think about the most captivating stories you've ever heard or the most intriguing people you've ever met. What do they all have in common? Mystery. They don't reveal everything at once, and they keep you guessing, wondering what's coming next. The same principle applies in relationships. When you're too predictable, always available, always saying the right thing at the right time, you lose the element of surprise. And without surprise, attraction fades. The truth is, people are wired to crave the unknown. When everything feels certain and secure, it's comfortable, yes, but it's not exciting. This is where the power of mixed signals comes into play. Mixed signals don't mean playing mind games or intentionally confusing someone. They're about creating emotional variety, keeping things dynamic, and ensuring that the other person never feels like they've fully figured you out. Ask yourself, have you ever been so predictable in a relationship that the other person started taking you for granted? Did they stop putting in effort because they knew without a doubt that you'd always be there? If so, you've experienced firsthand how predictability can kill intrigue. But don't worry, this isn't a permanent state. You can shift the dynamic by mastering the art of mixed signals. Here's how it works. Instead of always being warm and available, you mix in moments of independence. One day you might be deeply engaged in a conversation, giving them your full attention. The next you might pull back a little, not to be cold, but to show that your world doesn't revolve around theirs. This ebb and flow creates a sense of unpredictability that keeps them emotionally invested. Picture this. You're on a fantastic date, the chemistry is electric, and the conversation is flowing effortlessly. Instead of texting them the next morning with a heartfelt message about how much fun you had, you wait. Not because you're trying to manipulate them, but because you're giving them space to wonder. Did they feel the same connection? Are you as interested as they are? That moment of uncertainty creates an emotional itch they can't help but want to scratch. The power of mixed signals lies in activating their curiosity. When you're always transparent, they stop thinking about you because there's nothing left to figure out. But when you introduce a little mystery, their mind keeps coming back to you, replaying moments, analyzing your behavior, and wondering what's next. That's how obsession begins. It's important to note that this doesn't mean withholding affection or being inconsistent in a way that feels hurtful. A mixed signal should never make someone feel undervalued or confused about your intentions. Instead, they should create a natural rhythm in your interactions, one that mirrors the complexity of human connection. As the Stoics remind us, balance is key. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom yourself to consider that the nature of the universe delights in change." In practical terms, this means being intentional about when and how you engage. For example, if you're always the first to text, try waiting for them to initiate. If you're always free to meet, let them see that you have your own plans and priorities. This isn't about being unavailable. It's about showing that your time is valuable and that you're living a full, vibrant life outside of the relationship. Here's another layer to consider. Mixed signals aren't just about your actions, they're about your emotional responses. If you're always predictable in how you react to situations, they'll stop paying attention. But when you respond in unexpected ways, you keep them on their toes. Maybe you laugh off something that would normally upset you, or you express enthusiasm for something you've never shown interest in before. These small shifts keep the connection dynamic and exciting. One of the greatest benefits of mixed signals is that they naturally protect your energy. When you're not constantly pouring yourself into the other person, you create space for them to step up and match your effort. You're no longer the one doing all the work. Instead, they're invested in figuring you out, deepening their own emotional connection in the process. Let's address a potential concern. What if they get frustrated by your mixed signals? First, remember that this isn't about manipulation. It's about balance and authenticity. If someone is genuinely interested in you, they'll appreciate the depth and complexity you bring to the relationship. And if they're not willing to invest the effort, then perhaps they weren't as invested as you thought. As Stoicism teaches us, we can only control ourselves, not the actions or feelings of others. Here's a final thought to consider. Humans are naturally drawn to challenges. When something or someone feels easy to attain, we often take it for granted. But when there's an element of difficulty or unpredictability, we become more invested. By mastering the art of mixed signals, you're not only creating intrigue, but also giving them a reason to chase you, to work for your attention, and to appreciate the moments they share with you. Now, take a deep breath and reflect. How predictable have you been in your inner interactions? What small shifts can you make today to introduce a little mystery and variety? Remember, this isn't about changing who you are. It's about expressing the full range of your personality in a way that captivates and inspires curiosity. Embrace the power of mixed signals and watch as the dynamic transforms. You're no longer chasing, you're creating an energy that pulls others toward you. And that, my friend, is the beginning of something truly powerful. Let's move forward to the next principle, where we'll explore how to disappear strategically to amplify your magnetic pull. 4. Disappear strategically. Have you ever noticed how people only truly appreciate something after it's gone? It's one of the most powerful truths about human nature. When we're constantly surrounded by something, we start to take it for granted. The same applies to relationships. If you're always there, always accessible, and always available, the other person may not fully realize your value. That's where the art of disappearing strategically comes into play. Disappearing strategically doesn't mean ghosting or cutting someone off completely. It's not about creating unnecessary drama or leaving them confused. Instead, it's about creating intentional space, pulling back just enough to make them notice the void your absence leaves behind. This space allows them to reflect on what you bring to their life, and more importantly, to crave it. Think about this. Have you ever been in constant communication with someone, texting every day, and then suddenly noticed the energy shift? The excitement fades because there's no longer any mystery, no longing, no anticipation. It's predictable, familiar, comfortable, and comfort, while important, isn't the spark that fuels obsession. Obsession thrives on curiosity, on the desire to close the gap that your absence creates. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you've been consistently available, texting, meeting, and always being there when they reach out. Things seem fine, but there's a lack of intensity, a missing spark. Now, imagine you suddenly become a little less available. Not because you're playing games, but because you're focusing on your own life, your goals, your passions, your growth. You're not ignoring them, but you're also not centering your life around them. Suddenly they notice. They start to wonder why you're not as present as before. They question what you're doing, who you're with, and why they're not hearing from you as often. That moment of wondering, it's where the magic happens. Your absence creates value because it forces them to reflect on what you bring into their life. They start to feel your presence in a way they couldn't when you were always there. And just like that, the dynamic shifts. They move from taking you for granted to actively pursuing your attention. Here's an important distinction. Disappearing strategically doesn't mean withdrawing completely or acting cold. It's about balance. You pull back just enough to create longing, but not so much that they feel abandoned. You're still engaged, but on your terms and at your pace. This approach not only protects your energy, but also signals that your time and attention are valuable. Stoicism teaches us to embrace detachment, not as a way to disconnect from people, but as a way to maintain our inner strength and independence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you focus on your growth and happiness, your energy changes. You're no longer seeking validation from others. You're rooted in your own worth. That kind of self-assurance is magnetic. So how do you implement this? Start by identifying moments where you're overextending yourself. Are you always the one initiating contact? Are you constantly adjusting your schedule to accommodate someone else? If so, pull back. Allow yourself to be less available, not because you're trying to make them chase you, but because you're prioritizing your own life. Maybe you don't respond to a text immediately because you're working out, spending time with friends, or pursuing a passion project. When you do respond, it's with intention, showing that your time is meaningful. Here's another layer to this strategy. Use your absence as a chance to recharge. Constantly giving can be draining, and when you're drained, your interactions lose their vibrancy. By stepping back, you not only create space for them to miss you, but you also rejuvenate your own energy. And when you re-engage, you bring that renewed energy with you, making your presence even more impactful. Now let's address the elephant in the room. What if they don't notice your absence? What if they don't chase you when you pull back? That's a hard truth, but one worth confronting. If someone doesn't notice or care when you create space, it's a sign they may not value you as much as you deserve. And that's okay. Stoicism reminds us to focus only on what we can control: our actions, our energy, our growth. You're not disappearing to manipulate someone into liking you. You're doing it to reclaim your power and protect your worth. When done right, disappearing strategically has a profound effect. It shifts the dynamic from you chasing them to them pursuing you. They begin to realize that your presence isn't guaranteed, that your attention is something they have to earn. And once they start chasing, the entire relationship changes. Are you ready to take this step? Are you ready to create the kind of space that amplifies your value and shifts the power dynamic in your favor? If so, let me know in the comments by writing number 1 below. Your commitment to reclaiming your energy and worth matters, and I want to hear about it. If you're enjoying this journey so far, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Not only does it help spread this message to others who need it, but it also ensures you don't miss the next steps in this transformation. The next principle is all about understanding and reflecting their deepest fears, a subtle yet incredibly powerful way to deepen their connection with you. Stay with me, we're just getting started. 5. Reflect their deepest fears. What truly connects one human being to another? Is it shared interests, mutual goals, or is it something deeper, something more vulnerable? The answer lies in the hidden fears we all carry. When someone feels like you understand the parts of them they rarely show the world, a powerful bond forms. It's not manipulation, it's empathy. And when done subtly, reflecting their deepest fears becomes a way to forge an emotional connection that feels unshakable. Let's start with this. Everyone has insecurities. Even the most confident person you know has moments of doubt, fears of rejection, or worries about not being enough. These fears are often unspoken, lurking beneath the surface of our interactions. And while most people try to avoid them, understanding and gently acknowledging these fears can create a sense of safety and trust. Think about it. Have you ever been with someone who seemed to truly see you, not just the parts you proudly show the world, but the messy, vulnerable pieces you usually hide? How did that make you feel? Most likely, it made you feel understood in a way that few others have achieved. That's the power of reflecting someone's fears. It creates a sense of being known and valued, not in spite of their flaws, but because of them. So how do you reflect someone's fears without making them feel exposed or uncomfortable? It starts with observation. Pay attention to what they say, how they act, and what they avoid discussing. People often reveal their insecurities in subtle ways through offhand comments, nervous laughter, or moments of hesitation. For example, if someone jokes about being hard to love, they might fear rejection. If they frequently seek validation, they may worry about not being good enough. The key is to approach this gently. You're not pointing out their insecurities, you're acknowledging them in a way that makes them feel seen and supported. For instance, if they express doubts about their abilities, you might share a similar experience from your own life. By mirroring their vulnerability, you're showing them that they're not alone and that you understand them on a deeper level. Imagine this scenario. They're talking about a fear of failure, something that's clearly weighing on their mind. Instead of dismissing it with a generic "you'll be fine," you say, "I get that. I felt that way too, like I wasn't sure if I could handle something." But what I've learned is that fear usually means you're about to grow in ways you never imagined. This simple reflection not only validates their feelings, but also creates a space for connection. It's important to note that reflecting their fears doesn't mean dwelling on negativity. You're not amplifying their insecurities, you're addressing them in a way that fosters trust and builds intimacy. It's about showing them that their fears don't scare you, that you're willing to stand with them in their moments of doubt. Here's where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism teaches us that fear is often rooted in our perception, not reality. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By reflecting their fears, you're helping them see that they're not defined by those fears, that they have the strength to overcome them. You're not their savior, you're their ally, walking alongside them as they navigate their own growth. Another layer to this principle is understanding the power of vulnerability. When you reflect someone's fears, you're also inviting them to reflect yours. It's a two-way street that deepens the connection on both sides. Sharing your own struggles and insecurities in a thoughtful way creates a sense of mutual understanding. It says, "I'm not perfect either, but I'm here, and we're in this together." Now, let's address a potential concern. What if they're not ready to confront their fears? What if they're not open to that level of vulnerability? That's okay. Not everyone is in the same place emotionally, and that's not a reflection of your efforts. Stoicism reminds us to focus on what we can control, our own actions and intentions. You can create a safe and empathetic space, but it's up to them to step into it. Reflecting their fears also gives you a subtle sense of power in the relationship, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that deepens their emotional reliance on you. When someone feels truly seen and understood, they naturally gravitate toward the person who provides that connection. You become a source of comfort and security, someone they don't want to lose. But remember, this isn't about playing the role of a therapist or taking on the responsibility of fixing someone. It's about fostering a connection based on authenticity and understanding. It's about being a mirror that gently reflects their humanity back to them, showing them that their fears don't make them weak, they make them real. As you navigate this principle, think about how you can practice empathy in your own life. What fears do you see in the people around you? How can you acknowledge those fears in a way that feels supportive and kind? And how can you invite vulnerability into your own relationships? Reflect their fears and watch as the bond between you strengthens. They'll feel drawn to you in ways they can't quite explain, but they'll know that with you they're safe. Let's move forward to the next principle, where we'll explore the art of subtlety and how it can leave a lasting impression that lingers long after you're gone. 6. The art of subtlety. Sometimes, the loudest statements aren't the ones spoken out loud. The most captivating people in the world have mastered the art of subtlety. They don't need to demand attention because their presence speaks for itself. Subtlety is the quiet confidence that keeps people intrigued, the small gestures that linger in someone's mind long after they've left the room. And if you want to make someone completely obsessed with you, learning this art is essential. Ask yourself, how often do you try to over-explain, overdo, or overperform in relationships? Do you shower the other person with compliments, elaborate on every feeling, or try to spell out your intentions? If so, you might be doing too much. Subtlety is about scaling back, not because you're hiding anything, but because you're creating space for curiosity, intrigue, and connection. Imagine this scenario. You're having a conversation with someone, and instead of pouring out your feelings or trying to impress them, you drop a cryptic comment like, "There's a lot you don't know about me yet." Then you move on to a new topic without elaborating. That simple, understated statement sticks with them. It creates a question, an itch they need to scratch. What don't I know? What makes them so interesting? That curiosity keeps you on their mind long after the conversation ends. The art of subtlety isn't about withholding or playing games. It's about mastering the balance between what you show and what you keep to yourself. When you reveal everything all at once, you leave no room for wonder. But when you allow parts of yourself to remain a mystery, you become someone worth discovering, someone they can't stop thinking about. One of the most powerful tools of subtlety is body language. A fleeting glance, a soft smile, or the lightest touch can speak volumes without a single word. These small gestures create an emotional impact that loud declarations can't achieve. When you lean in just slightly, then pull back, you're communicating confidence and control. You're showing that you don't need to demand attention to hold it. Think about your interactions with this lens. Are you giving too much too soon? Are you overwhelming the other person with your energy, leaving nothing for them to wonder about? If so, step back. Allow silence to fill some of the space. Give them the opportunity to miss you, to replay moments in their mind, and to crave more. Stoicism teaches us the value of restraint, not as a form of denial, but as a way to maintain our power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Subtlety is about living with intention, choosing your moments carefully, and understanding that what you don't say can be just as powerful as what you do. Here's another way to think about subtlety. It's like a movie that leaves certain details to the imagination. Have you ever watched a film that didn't explain every plot point, leaving you to interpret its meaning? Those stories often stick with you the longest because they engage your mind, forcing you to think and reflect. The same principle applies to relationships. When you leave room for interpretation, you create a sense of depth and complexity that draws people in. But let's be clear. Subtlety doesn't mean playing hard to get or being emotionally unavailable. It's about intentionality. You're choosing to share parts of yourself while keeping other parts private, not as a manipulation tactic, but as a way to honor your own boundaries and create intrigue. Consider this. If you're always available, always texting, always sharing your every thought, what reason does the other person have to pursue you? Subtlety allows you to maintain your independence and control the rhythm of the relationship. You're not chasing, you're inviting them to lean in, to wonder, and to work for your attention. And here's the best part. Subtlety enhances your authenticity. You're not pretending to be someone you're not. You're simply showing up as the best version of yourself, confident, composed, and intriguing. The more you embrace this mindset, the more magnetic your energy becomes. Now, let's pause for a moment. Have you ever experienced the power of subtlety in your own life? Maybe someone left you wondering about their intentions, and you couldn't stop thinking about them. That's the power we're tapping into here. By being intentional with your words, actions, and energy, you're creating a ripple effect that keeps them coming back for more. If this principle resonates with you, let me know in the comments by writing number 1 below. Your journey toward mastering subtlety and creating irresistible connection starts here, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like this video if you're finding these strategies empowering, and hit that subscribe button to stay connected, because the next steps in this journey are designed to build on this momentum, helping you create relationships that are not only captivating but also deeply fulfilling. Subtlety is an art, and you're the artist. Every glance, every word, every moment is a brushstroke in the masterpiece you're creating. So step into this power and watch as they become more drawn to you than ever before. Up next, we'll explore how to embrace emotional unpredictability to keep them captivated and constantly thinking about you. Stay with me. You won't want to miss what's coming next. 7. Emotionally unpredictable dynamics. Human beings are wired to seek excitement, mystery, and the thrill of the unknown. Predictability, while comforting in some aspects of life, often breeds boredom in relationships. When someone feels they've figured you out, their curiosity fades, and with it, their attraction. But when you introduce emotional unpredictability into the dynamic, you create an irresistible sense of intrigue. They won't be able to stop thinking about you because they'll never quite know what to expect. Let me be clear. Emotional unpredictability isn't about being erratic or inconsistent in a way that creates confusion or harm. It's about cultivating an energy that keeps interactions fresh, engaging, and dynamic. It's the art of keeping them on their toes, showing different sides of yourself at different times, so they're always eager to discover what comes next. Imagine this scenario. You're usually warm and attentive, but one day you're a little quieter, more reflective. The change isn't dramatic enough to alarm them, but it's noticeable. They might think, what's on their mind? Why do they seem different today? That small shift sparks curiosity, pulling their attention back to you. Then, the next time you see them, you're back to your usual vibrant self, fully engaged and present. These subtle shifts create a rhythm of engagement and anticipation that keeps them captivated. The key to emotional unpredictability is balance. You're not playing games or being intentionally difficult. You're allowing the full range of your personality to shine. Maybe you show your playful side one day and your introspective side the next. Maybe you're deeply engaged in a heartfelt conversation, and then the following interaction, you're lighthearted and teasing. These shifts aren't forced. They're authentic expressions of your complexity as a person. Ask yourself, have you ever been overly predictable in your relationships? Always saying yes, always responding the same way, always showing up with the same energy. If so, you've likely noticed how that predictability can make the connection feel stagnant over time. Emotional unpredictability is the antidote to that stagnation. It injects vitality and excitement into the relationship, making every interaction feel new and engaging. There's another layer to this. Emotional unpredictability requires you to remain rooted in self-awareness and emotional control. Stoicism teaches us that our emotions are within our power to manage, not something to be dictated by external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By embracing this Stoic principle, you can choose how and when to express your emotions, creating a dynamic that feels intentional rather than reactive. For example, if they say something that bothers you, instead of immediately reacting with frustration, you might pause, consider your response, and then choose to address it calmly or even with humor. This unexpected reaction not only diffuses tension but also reinforces your emotional composure. They'll begin to see you as someone who is not easily shaken, someone who operates with intentionality and grace. That kind of emotional stability, paired with unpredictability, is magnetic. Another way to cultivate emotional unpredictability is to surprise them with moments of unexpected vulnerability or depth. If you're typically lighthearted and playful, sharing a deeper thought or feeling can create a powerful connection. Conversely, if you're usually serious and introspective, showing a playful or adventurous side can catch them off guard in the best way. These moments of contrast highlight your multifaceted nature, making you even more intriguing. It's also worth noting that emotional unpredictability naturally arises when you're living a full, independent life. When your world doesn't revolve around the other person, your energy becomes dynamic and unpredictable by default. You're not always available because you're pursuing your passion, spending time with friends, or working on personal growth. This unpredictability isn't contrived, it's a reflection of your vibrant and evolving life. But let's address a potential concern. What if they misinterpret your emotional unpredictability as disinterest or instability? The answer lies in communication and consistency. While your emotions might vary, your overall presence in their life remains steady. They'll know that even though you're not always predictable, you're reliable in the ways that matter. This balance between being dynamic and being dependable is what keeps the relationship strong and exciting. One of the most powerful aspects of emotional unpredictability is that it shifts the focus back onto you. Instead of them feeling like they have all the answers, they're drawn into your world, eager to learn more, to connect more deeply, and to understand the many layers of who you are. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about being someone worth getting to know. Take a moment to reflect. How can you introduce more variety into your interactions? How can you show different sides of yourself, not as a performance, but as an authentic expression of your complexity? Remember, emotional unpredictability isn't about creating chaos, it's about creating intrigue. It's about being fully yourself, dynamic, multifaceted, and alive. By embracing emotional unpredictability, you'll create a relationship dynamic that's anything but boring. They'll find themselves thinking about you long after each interaction, wondering what new aspect of you they'll discover next. And as their curiosity grows, so will their desire to be closer to you. 8. Claim your worth and reclaim your power. Let's end this journey with the most transformative principle of all, reclaiming your power by fully embracing your worth. Everything we've explored so far, scarcity, mixed signals, emotional unpredictability, and subtlety, comes back to this one essential truth. You are the prize. The moment you internalize this belief, your energy shifts. You stop chasing. You stop bending. And suddenly others start chasing you. Here's a question. How often do you settle for less than you deserve because you fear losing someone's attention? Do you downplay your needs, suppress your voice, or compromise your values just to keep the peace? If you've done this, you're not alone. Many people fall into this trap, convinced that sacrificing themselves will win love and loyalty. But the reality, it does the opposite. When you place someone else's desires above your own worth, you send a message that you don't value yourself. And if you don't value you, why should they? This principle is about flipping the script. It's about standing tall, speaking your truth, and living your life unapologetically. When you claim your worth, you communicate, through your actions, words, and energy, that you are someone to be respected, admired, and pursued. You become the person who sets the terms, not the one who constantly adjusts to meet someone else's expectations. Imagine this. Instead of over-explaining yourself or seeking their validation, you trust in your own value. You know you're enough, not because someone told you so, but because you've decided to own it. This shift doesn't just change how you see yourself, it changes how others see you too. Your confidence becomes magnetic, your boundaries become inspiring, and your presence becomes something people crave. But let's get practical. What does claiming your worth look like in everyday life? First, it means setting boundaries and enforcing them. If someone's behavior doesn't align with your values, you're not afraid to call it out or walk away. You're clear about what you will and won't tolerate, not as a way to control others, but as a way to honor yourself. Boundaries aren't walls, they're guidelines that teach others how to treat you. Second, claiming your worth means prioritizing your goals and passions. You're not waiting for someone else to make your life exciting, you're actively building the life you want. Whether it's pursuing a career, learning a new skill, or simply dedicating time to what makes you happy, you're focused on your growth. When you live this way, people can't help but notice. They see your vibrancy, your purpose, your drive, and they want to be part of it. Third, claiming your worth means embracing your individuality. You're not trying to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. You're not apologizing for your quirks, your dreams, or your desires. Instead, you're celebrating them. As the Stoics remind us, true freedom comes from self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." When you stop seeking external validation, you reclaim the power that has always been yours. But claiming your worth isn't always easy. It requires courage to stand firm, especially in a world that often tries to diminish your light. You might face resistance from people who are used to you bending, but that's okay. Those who truly value you will rise to meet you at your level, and those who don't, let them go. Your worth isn't determined by who stays, it's determined by how deeply you believe in yourself. Here's the incredible thing about this principle. When you claim your worth, you're not just transforming your relationships, you're transforming your entire life. You're stepping into a version of yourself that's strong, confident, and unstoppable. And when you live this way, the right people are drawn to you, not because you're chasing them, but because your energy demands respect and admiration. So ask yourself, what would it look like to live as if you are the prize? What decisions would you make differently? What would you stop tolerating? What would you start doing for yourself? Take a moment to visualize that version of you, the one who walks into every room with quiet confidence, who sets boundaries with ease, and who never questions their own worth. Now let's make that vision a reality. Start today. Take one small step toward reclaiming your power, whether it's saying no to something that doesn't serve you, pursuing a goal you've been putting off, or simply affirming to yourself, "I am enough." If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments by writing number 1. This isn't just about letting me know you're here. It's a declaration to yourself that you're ready to step into your power. And if you found value in this journey, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. These small actions don't just help us grow, they're a sign of your commitment to your own growth. Together, we're building something powerful. A community of people who are done chasing and ready to start living. Remember, you are the prize. Your time, energy, and presence are gifts, not something to be given lightly. Embrace this truth and watch as the world starts chasing you. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to see the incredible transformation you create. We've reached the end of this journey, but this is just the beginning for you. The principles we've explored: scarcity, turning the spotlight on yourself; mixed signals, strategic disappearance, reflecting their fears; subtlety, emotional unpredictability, and claiming your worth, are not just strategies for relationships, they're tools for transforming your entire life. When you implement them, you're stepping into a version of yourself that is confident, grounded, and undeniably magnetic. At the heart of everything we've discussed is one undeniable truth. You don't need to chase anyone. You are the prize. The moment you truly believe that, the dynamics of your relationships, your confidence, and your energy will shift. People will be drawn to you not because you're playing games, but because you become someone they can't ignore, someone they can't stop thinking about. As the Stoics teach, the ultimate power lies in self-mastery. When you live by your values, respect your boundaries, and cultivate your own growth, you naturally command respect and admiration from those around you. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about living authentically and embracing your inherent worth. Now it's your turn. You've read the steps, felt the power of these ideas, and seen how they can reshape not only your relationships but your perspective on yourself. What will you do with this knowledge? What step will you take today to reclaim your power and create a life where you're no longer chasing, but attracting? If this message has resonated with you, take a moment to let me know in the comments by writing "I am the prize." Declare it, not just for me, but for yourself. Let it be a reminder that you're ready to step into your power. And before you go, make sure to like this video if you found it valuable. Hit subscribe to join a community of people who are all working toward the same goal, becoming their best, most magnetic selves. Together, we're creating something bigger than just a set of strategies. We're creating a movement rooted in confidence, authenticity, and personal growth. Thank you for being part of this journey. Remember, your worth isn't something you need to prove to anyone. It's something you already have, just by being you. Take this truth, live it boldly, and watch as the world starts chasing after you. You've got this. I believe in you, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes you.